Without hesitating, Shiro immediately slammed her hand down as chains appeared around. Suddenly, invisible hands were revealed, as Shiro managed to parry them before they could reach her. Narrowing her eyes at Jasmine, Shiro activated Sigil of Night, as her body faded into the darkness. Seeing this, Jasmine put up her guard, as souls started to howl around her. However, even with this guard, she didn't expect to see Shiro's left hand cover her vision, while her sword pierced the back of her neck. With a single twist of her body, Shiro gritted her teeth as she tried to separate Jasmine's head once more. This time, tens of soul chains erupted out from around her, as she aimed to restrain the mass of writhing souls behind her so that she couldn't revive using it. But just as her chains came into contact with this writhing mass of souls, Shiro didn't expect her chains to be swatted aside as black hands aimed to grab her. Chiach! Clicking her tongue in annoyance, Shiro gave up on her attack and quickly moved back. Getting her own soul tainted for a short moment of damage was not what she wanted. It was uncertain if she could cancel Jasmine's ability just yet, so suffering more damage from it would not be recommended. Just as she jumped back, Shiro chanted a few lines under her breath as tens of Tier 6 magic circles appeared around her. Each of them twisted with a mix of lightning and fire energy as hundreds of arrows were formed. Swiping horizontally with her hand, she sent the barrage of arrows towards Jasmine while preparing her next move. Right now, it seems like melee combat is a no-go. A single touch would result in me being slightly tainted, and I'm not too excited to find out what happens. Her physical prowess isn't that powerful, and she relies on her souls. If her physical prowess was strong, I might have some trouble, but this should be beneficial for me. Shiro thought as she narrowed her eyes. Jumping back, she slammed her hand down as tens of Tier 7 magic circles appeared around her, flooding this part of the city with nanobots. Golden runes started to appear as turrets were constructed on the roof of the buildings nearby. Without saying anything, Shiro clasped her hand together as a luminescent turquoise flame wrapped around. The guns that she had constructed, since she had also activated Sigil of Night, her power was doubled under this veil of darkness. It wasn't to the scale of the Void Bomb, but this barrage should be enough to reduce most things to ash. Fire! Shiro ordered as the guns hummed with an ominous bumble. Looking at the weapons pointed at her, Jasmine only grinned as a shield of spirits wrapped around her body. Bang! Watching the barrage, Shiro was about to continue when she was sent back by an unknown force. Coughing up some blood, she quickly stopped the barrage upon noticing that the damage she took was from the guns she created. Healing herself with life fire, Shiro glanced down and saw Jasmine standing there with a creepy smile. The ghost that had been used as shields slowly disappeared. Did she transfer damage from them to me? Shiro frowned. Watching Jasmine overlap herself with another ghost, she stomped down and dashed towards Shiro. Understand that melee combat was disadvantageous for her, even if Jasmine was physically weak. Shiro flew up into the air and summoned a swarm of nanobots. Creating a mech around her, Shiro immediately slashed towards Jasmine with her sword. Krrrr! The moment the sword hit, Shiro could feel her ribs break apart as a horizontal cut appeared around her torso. Healing herself up, Shiro understood that Jasmine could probably use any soul she had on her to return the damage. There has to be a drawback or a condition that I haven't realized. Shiro furrowed her brows. Pulling back her sword, the mech instantly disappeared as she converted all the nanobots into a rail cannon that aimed at Jasmine at point-blank range. Seeing the same grin again, Shiro narrowed her eyes and activated Kitoma. Forcing Jasmine's body to freeze up for a moment, Shiro didn't fire her weapon, but instead cast Frozen Slumber. Tens of Tier 6 magic circles appeared around Jasmine as ice. Chains shot out. Since it wasn't a contest of control over the soul, Shiro watched as the chains latched onto her physical body and a frozen prison started to form around her. Dismissing the cannon, Shiro gritted her teeth as she tried to push her hands together. Once that happens, Frozen Slumber would have completely frozen the enemy inside and out. However, the difficulty of clasping her hands together was so high that Shiro could feel her hands being forced apart instead. But strangely, the resistance weakened as one of the ghosts shattered apart, slashing at Jasmine before it disappeared. Widening her eyes, Shiro understood that when she uses her skill, she must be hit by an attack and return the damage, or she suffers a backlash. With the decrease of resistance, Shiro created a set of armor around her that bolstered her magical prowess. A blizzard formed around them as her white hair fluttered in the wind. Jasmine could only watch as Shiro's hands got closer, as she could feel her body shattering apart from the ice. Gritting her teeth, she forced her mouth open as the stitches ripped apart her skin. Sticking out her tongue, a dark, purple rune could be seen as the ghosts around her let out a mournful cry before being absorbed into her mouth. Seeing this, Shiro couldn't help but imagine that she was eating as the resistance started to increase once more. With her hands being forced apart, Shiro furrowed her brows. Bang! With a final push of force, the ice shattered apart as Shiro could feel an invisible force slam into her as her spell was broken apart. Healing any wounds that she had received with life fire, Shiro furrowed her brows and looked at Jasmine, who had disappeared. Suddenly, 2 fingers appeared in front of her, as her vision was instantly stolen from her. Suppressing her cry of pain, Shiro didn't need her eyes as she activated Boundary. She could sense Jasmine, but she was more powerful than before. Her body flickered continuously, as it was difficult to get a grasp on her even with Boundary. I need to make some distance between us. Releasing an omnidirectional attack, Shiro tried to heal her eyes. However, even with her eyes healed, her sight did not return. Furrowing her brows, Shiro could hear a laugh all around her. I take your sight so you can't see. I take your touch so you can't feel. I take your taste, your voice, and your hearing. O pitiful one, let me help you, for I shall take your life and free you from pain. She laughed as her tone was similar to when children would sing nursery songs. A conditional skill that invokes my death, huh? But it seems like you've lost your shield as well. Shiro smiled, but her heart was actually pounding right now. This is no time to hold back my skills anymore. I've already lost my sight if I lose. More, this fight will become difficult and eventually I'll be killed even with all my healing. Plus, this doesn't feel like damage, but more like a curse or debuff. Shiro thought in her mind as her aura flared. Without holding back, she activated her true spirit nature, demigod raiment, and divine gardens. With the sudden surge of divine energy, Jasmine was forced back as she wasn't able to attack Shiro due to the pressure. By the time she realized it, she was in the middle of an empty field created from metal. Large skyscrapers could be seen in the distance, along with what seemed to be giant planetary-sized weapons covered from head to toe in golden runes. As she was marveling at this sight, she flinched for a moment as she realized her body had been cut in half. Healing herself, she tried to turn around in order to see Shiro, but a hand grabbed the back of her head and slammed her face against the ground. Krrrr! Feeling her bones shatter, Jasmine gritted her teeth and launched an attack. Behind her, that completely missed. Slamming her hand down, a wave of shadows exploded out. However, the ground started to shake as the floor broke apart to reveal hundreds upon hundreds of mouths created from nanobots that started to consume the shadows in this realm. Jumping up, in the sky, Jasmine gritted her teeth as she closed her own eyes. Expanding her domain, she gained true sight of everything around her. Sensing danger behind her, she finally caught a glimpse of Shiro as she grinned. Your sense of touch is mine. She laughed, but when she saw her target, she had a bad feeling in her stomach. Take it then, Shiro replied with a grin. Raising her right hand that was covered with a layer of black metal and red circuits, she plunged her arm into Jasmine's heart and activated extraction. Widening her eyes, Jasmine grabbed Shiro's wrist as her face twisted in anger. Even though Shiro had lost her eyesight, her senses from Boundary still told her everything she needed to know. However, despite managing to activate extraction, Shiro knew that she couldn't let her guard down until her enemy disappeared. Using her spare hand to grab Jasmine's throat, Shiro reinforced her arm and crushed her neck to the pulp. Putting strength into her right hand, she ripped out the heart at the same time. Disintegrating into a tiny ball of condensed code, Shiro smiled as Jasmine's body crumbled to ash. Dismissing the divine garden as well as her demigod raiment, Shiro sighed as she sat down on the roof of one of the buildings nearby. However, the moment she sat down, she realized that her sense of touch had basically disappeared. It was hard to walk, considering the fact that there was no feedback from the rest of her body. Furrowing her brows a little, she wanted to check her system, but with her eyesight disappeared, she didn't know if it was temporary or permanent. Well, this is concerning. Shiro smiled softly as Nimue only crossed her hands while observing everything from the Mana realm. So not only have you lost your sight, but you've also lost your sense of touch now. She sighed. Oh, it's not that bad. Now is it? There's definitely a cure for this, so don't worry. Shiro smiled, but even after healing your eyes, you can't see anything, can you? Nimue furrowed her brows. Maybe it's something to do with the soul. She is the subordinate of the Ghost Queen after all. Shiro shrugged as she looked down at the source code in her hands. Right now, her sight was completely black and white. Everything was in clear detail, but that's only for things within a small range from her. At most, once she gets out, she can probably use her mana sense to navigate around a little. Plus, if it does get a bit annoying, she could make herself some eyes using nanobots, since the image would be transmitted to her mind. It was just that using her nanobots would be far inferior compared to her senses, since there is a delay and a chance that the camera wouldn't be able to capture what her eyes could. Say, young queen, if you don't mind, I would appreciate it if you let my subordinate go. She was just doing a job after all. A voice suddenly rang out as Shiro felt a chill down her spine. However, it was also similar to when Nyx appeared, so she understood that this was probably an avatar. I'm guessing you're the Ghost Queen then. Nice to meet you, but unfortunately, I have no intentions of letting this little bundle of code go. I did have a few things robbed from me after all. Shiro chuckled while glancing towards the source of voice. Through her senses, she could tell that someone was there, but the figure was blurry, so she couldn't tell what she looked like. Your sight and touch, right? I can return them to you as long as you give ping! Absorbing the code, Shiro smiled. Oops, I slipped. Maybe we can talk next time then. Shiro chuckled as she activated the upgraded version of her celestial path. With the sudden lack of mana, the figure flickered and started to disappear. I'll remember your face, Allura warned in a low voice as her presence disappeared. Once Shiro was sure Allura disappeared, Shiro sighed and closed her eyes before laying on her back. Since she had absorbed the code, she would gain a new skill. Unfortunately, she couldn't see what it was, and a camera wouldn't reveal her status board to her. What a shame. I'll find out what it is when I get my sight back, I suppose. Shiro shook her head as her priority was to get back to Lyrica. She knew that after using extraction, she'll probably get a vision of what the person she killed experienced, so she wanted some protection first. Trying to stand up, Shiro almost fell over a few times, since she didn't know if she had stood up properly or if she was falling. Keeping boundary activated for a long time was difficult, so she was using a mix of other options, such as mana and wires, to determine her posture. Eventually, she settled with controlling her entire body through wires around her body. Her sight was sorted with a camera in the form of a contact lens, so her vision should be close to the original. She didn't want to worry her friends after all, since this is probably just temporary. She just needed a bit of time to see what's wrong with her senses. Finding her way back to the base that they set up for now, Shiro could see the survivors resting while Lyrica and the others stood guard. Upon seeing Shiro, Lyrica sighed in relief, since she had been worried. Welcome back. Seems like you've finished taking care of it. Lyrica smiled as Shiro nodded her head. It was a bit troublesome, but it's over for now. The only thing is that I might have annoyed the Ghost Queen now. Aha. Shiro laughed as she shrank her body down and sat on Lyrica's shoulder. When do you not annoy people? Ha ha. Lyrica smiled as Shiro nodded her head. Regardless, I'm a little exhausted after everything, so I'll go rest for now. I'm sure you lot are able to bring everyone back to the city, so I'm leaving it to you. Shiro yawned and rested her head on Lyrica's neck. Seeing this, Lyrica was a little surprised, but nodded her head. Holding Shiro's body carefully, she adjusted her position a little so that she wouldn't fall off. However, when Casper saw Shiro, He widened his eyes in surprise, since the pressure he felt from her soul was much weaker than before. Did something happen? He thought to himself with a frown, since her soul was heavily injured right now. But mentioning it now would be rather disadvantageous, so he planned to bring this up once they made it back to the base. Ah! What the hell? Why is there someone with that kind of power this early on? Gaia slammed her hand on the table when she heard about what Jasmine did. The fact that she could kill someone after fulfilling the condition of robbing all of their senses was insane. It was something that would belong to a skill in Tier 7 rather than 6. The fact that Shiro actually lost her sight and touch concerned Gaia. I know you're worried, but it's fine. She's a demigod, so her soul will recover on its own, but it might take a while. Nyx sighed. That's not what I'm worried about. If she can't see the system, she can't see my messages. Gaia glared at Nyx, who blinked a few times to make sure she heard everything properly. So you're worried because she can't read your messages? Nyx asked, as Gaia nodded her head furiously. It'll take so long for me to be able to message. Maybe I should sabotage the Ghost Queen for this. Gaia narrowed her eyes as Uranos sighed. You're not a teenage girl. I'm sure you'll be fine if you don't talk to her for a bit. Shut up, you don't understand, mph. Gaia frowned as she drop-kicked Uranos off his chair. Calm down, Gaia. Let's just watch for now. It's normal for things to be a bit strange, considering the situation we're in. This new age will be completely different to what has happened in the past, so there will naturally be situations like this. The most we can do is to wait for our time to arrive since we're still not even a week in yet. Nyx shook her head as Gaia pouted and sat down on the chair. Hace, you should know what Gaia's like, and you still provoked her. Tartarus shook his head as Uranos ignored him and sat down without saying anything. Making their way back to the city, Lyrica brought the surprised survivors to the second city for now, and had Samuel and some of the other trusted staff guide them for now. After thinking about it for a while, Lyrica decided to escort Shiro back to her room while she was still sleeping. But the moment she opened the door, she saw Lysandra gritting her teeth as sweat dripped from her face. Her pristine, white wings were being dyed black at the base. Groaning softly, Shiro opened her eyes but saw nothing. Ah, right, I'm blind now. She sighed in her mind. Activating the cameras, she wrapped her body with wire once more before sitting up. Realizing that she was back in her own room, Shiro looked to her side and saw Lysandra sitting there with a difficult face. However, despite that, her wings seemed to have lost the darkness that was creeping around the edges last time she saw it. Seems like she's doing good. Shiro smiled, as she stood up with difficulty. Just as she walked to the door, she was surprised to see Lyrica coming here with Arim and Sylvia, following behind her with anxious faces. Shiro! Lyrica called out in surprise since she didn't expect Shiro to wake up so soon. Sup? Why are you 3 in a rush? Shiro asked curiously, as Lyrica paused for a moment in confusion. Have you seen Lysandra? Lyrica asked with surprise. Yes, I have. She's doing fine, no? The darkness around her wings has disappeared. Shiro tilted her head. Hearing this, Lyrica frowned and looked at the other two. Let's talk in your room. Sure. Come on in. Shiro raised her eyebrow but took a step back, letting them enter. Goodness! Sylvia cried out in shock, seeing the state of Lysandra, while Shiro was confused at what they were seeing. Do you think they're seeing something that your camera couldn't pick up? Nimue asked. Possibly. I was hoping to hide this for a little. Longer before asking for some help. Shiro smiled softly. Shiro, what do you mean Lysandra is doing fine? Her wings are being dyed black. Arim frowned while crouching near Lysandra. They are? Shiro glanced over at the area that Arim was looking at and saw normal white feathers on the wings. Shiro, can I have a look at your eyes? Sylvia asked, as Shiro paused and nodded her head. Sure. Shiro smiled as she sat on the bed. Walking up to Shiro, Sylvia realized that Shiro was wearing contacts. When did you start wearing contacts? She asked curiously. Today? Shiro replied. Any reason for using contacts? Help me see a little better, Shiro chuckled. Is your vision impaired? Sylvia asked in surprise, since Shiro could have just healed it up. Just a little. Taking off her contacts, Shiro sighed as she looked towards. where she guessed the three were. After the last battle, I may or may not have lost my sense of vision and touch. Shiro smiled softly as the three tensed up in shock, especially Lyrica, since she was out with Shiro and didn't notice anything wrong. You... What? Sylvia widened her eyes. Moving her hand in front of Shiro and seeing no reaction, she didn't know what to say. It was a battle against the Ghost Queen's subordinate, who was also Tier 6. She was very good at using powers against the soul, so it was a difficult fight, and during the fight, I had something similar to a curse affect me. One that would kill me if the conditions are met. She took away my sense of sight and touch. Had she taken taste, hearing, and smell, my life would be forfeit. I managed to kill her in the end, so I'm safe now. I'm not sure how long this kind of impairment will last, since I have tried to heal myself. But even though my eyes were regenerated, the sense is still gone. Even now, I'm controlling my body using wires, since I can't feel a single thing around. Me? If I stand up without the wires, I wouldn't know if I was falling or not, Shiro explained, while rolling up her sleeves. Seeing the rows of wires along her arm, Sylvia opened her mouth several times, but nothing came out. These contact lenses act as prosthetics for now, since they send the image to my mind. I can see like usual, but it seems like there are things the camera can't pick up. How bad is Lysandra's situation right now? Shiro asked. Not good. The darkness has reached around 30% of her wings right now, and it seems like the speed is increasing. Arim shook her head with a frown. That's not too good. Is there anything out of place? Like any runes or signs of interference? Shiro asked. Since she can't see anything, she can only ask them about what they see. There's a small mark on her back, but it's a quite small, and it's a golden rune. I'm guessing you're the one who put it there, Arim said as Shiro paused. Eh? There's a golden rune? I don't remember doing anything of the sort. Can you draw it and show me what it looks like? Shiro asked with a frown. Nodding her head, Arim started to draw the rune while Lyrica walked up to Shiro. Shiro, if you're injured, tell us. If I didn't come to your room, we wouldn't even know Lysandra's condition, especially now that you've lost your sight and touch. Lyrica sighed heavily. I'm sorry. I didn't want to worry everyone, since it's quite shocking for me as well. Unfortunately, these prosthetics can't see the system, so I don't know what's happening either. If there is a notification, you girls will have to tell me about it. Shiro chuckled as Lyrica nodded her head. Done! This is the rune on her back. Arim walked over and showed her the drawing. The moment Shiro saw the rune, she knew what it was. Rather than a rune, it's more of a crest. You remember how I came from Arya, right? This is the crest of the light goddess. I told you that Lysandra was supposed to be the body for the light goddess, right? I'm guessing that now the new age has arrived. She's not too happy about Lysandra becoming Tier 6. But this is fine. I know what to do about this. Shiro smiled. Walking over to Lysandra, she kneeled down behind her. Raising her finger, a golden aura wrapped around it as she glanced at Arim. I'll need your help for this. Point out where the crest is. I'm going to override it with my own. Shiro smiled. Nodding her head, Arim traced a rough outline before placing it on Lysandra's back. Remembering this spot, Shiro removed the outline and started to draw her crest, using her own divine energy. The moment she finished drawing the crest, the other three in the room could see a stream of golden energy branch out from the new crest, seemingly purifying. Some of the darkness that was encroaching on her wings, Lysandra's expression eased up. Just as this happened, Shiro noticed that her camera had stopped working and her wires disappeared. To think it was actually you who got rid of the crest. It has been a while. A feminine voice rang out. I didn't expect to hear such an irritating voice today. How is it going, Arya? Shiro chuckled as the one who was talking was the light goddess, Arya. Her previous world was named after its main goddess, and this was the same goddess who had caused Akari to become who he is today. It's going rather well for me. I'll be honest, I didn't expect for you to lose your sight along with your sense of touch. Your figure is rather pitiful right now. Arya chuckled. Well, at least I don't have to look at you thanks to my lack of sight. Honestly, I might even call it a boon right now. Shiro laughed. So hostile even thought I was the one who had Ikari help you from the labs. But you're also the one who got him to kill me, no? Regardless, I believe you're not here to talk. Shiro stopped smiling. Indeed, I did hope that you'd find the crest when you returned, but you just had to lose your sight. Well, the reason I called for you today is to inform you about something good that will appear in the world soon. Arya smiled. And you're telling that to me, your enemy? Shiro raised an eyebrow. Indeed. It is necessary for everything after all. Towards the north, between the twin peaks of Frost Giant's Pass, a rainbow-grade relic will descend to this world. Arya smiled. Before Shiro could even ask her about anything else, she realized that she was back in her own room. Shiro? Lyrica called out as Shiro paused for a long time without moving. Oh, how is it? Has the darkness been dispelled? Shiro asked as she couldn't see what was happening on Lysandra's wings. Yes, it has. Everything's back to normal and it seems like she's just sleeping, no. Before Lyrica could finish what she was saying, a Tier 6 magic circle appeared around Lysandra as a liquid started to cover her body. Much like what happened with Madison, a crystal solidified around her. But this only lasted for a moment before shattering apart. Feeling the aura around Lysandra shoot into the realm of Tier 6, they knew that her ascension was successful. Tucking Lysandra in the bed, the four left the room for now, since Lysandra needed some time to rest after finally reaching Tier 6. Gesturing for everyone to go to the command center, Shiro wanted to talk with them about the new information that she had received from the Light Goddess. So, what did you want to tell us? Lyrica asked as Shiro sat down. When I got rid of the Light Goddess's crest, she gave me some rather interesting information, I suppose. It was information about a relic that will appear in this world after a month, and it's towards the north. In her own words, she said, towards the north, between the twin peaks of Frost Giant's Pass, a rainbow-grade relic will descend to this world. Personally, I'm not exactly trusting of her words, but if there is indeed a relic, we should stop others from obtaining something that is so powerful, Shiro said as the three frowned. If it's a rainbow-grade relic, do you think it'll cause some kind of phenomenon that notifies everyone? Lyrica asked with a frown. Possibly. However, there is a chance that the system will just notify everyone of its appearance. There's probably a good chance that we'll have to fight a few queens there. Shiro frowned while leaning back a little. With my current body condition, we'll have to be careful about how we approach this. I'm not sure if I'll be healed up in around a month. But we have to fight for this. The power of a rainbow-grade item can't be underestimated. I've got two myself and one allows me to summon the primordial gods, so you can guess how strong they are. Shiro narrowed her eyes as the three of them nodded their heads. Regardless, I'll be increasing the training for everyone in the military. Hopefully, we'll have a squadron of specialized units to fight in the battle. But if it does come down to it, I'll be issuing an evacuation order so that I can use something called a void bomb. It's better for something like this to be destroyed than to be given to other people. Shiro narrowed her eyes. I'll explain to you in detail about this bomb at a later date, but we'll be traveling north for now. There isn't much we can do about Tokyo's current situation with the ghosts. I also need to find out where exactly the Frost Giant Peak is, Shiro said while massaging her neck. Also, if you can, try not to say anything about my eyes and sense of touch out in the open. You can tell the rest of the party, but if news of me being injured to this extent is spread to the rest of the city, it'll cause quite a bit of distress. Shiro smiled as the three of them nodded. After talking for a little longer, they made their way back while Shiro started to set a course to the north. Your future self is correct after all. Each of the queens become queens because they're recognized by the system as powerful individuals. Even their subordinates can seriously harm you if you underestimate them. Nimue sighed. Indeed, I should have observed a little. Honestly, against opponents like her, I'll need to make sure I got something that can defend my soul, since that's probably the weakest part of me. I'm all for attacking, but my defenses are lacking. Shiro frowned. Even if she wanted to be a glass cannon, she still needed a bit of protection for herself. But your future self never mentioned about the Ghost Queen, so there's a big chance that she was eliminated early on. The ones that are most dangerous is the Beast Queen and the Dragon Empress. Nimue frowned. I already have Nantian investigating the Beast Queen since we got some leads on her, but that's only in a single branch city. As for the Dragon Empress, we have nothing on her. Shiro replied. Maybe you should call Nantian back for the artifact. He'll be a huge help should we fight, Nimue suggested. We'll see what happens. Shiro closed her eyes while thinking about all the things that they needed to do. It's been roughly a week since the settlement was destroyed by the dragon. Gathering some resources has been rather difficult, but after a few times, we got used to it and managed to find an efficient way to harvest food without entering too many fights. During this week, we had managed to save quite a few people, but we've made sure to keep our group small and escort them to a shelter. After last time, I don't think the others are keen with letting lots of people in. There's a settlement ahead, Gordon said as he had a pair of binoculars that he managed to salvage from one of the destroyed settlements we've passed earlier in the week. Ranobi. Oh? We can probably drop off the survivors then. I nodded as I patted Neetha's head. Flying down, we regrouped with the others and notified them about the settlement. With our speed, we would get there early in the morning if we hurry, roughly 3 or 4 a.m. If we camp the night, we'll have to wait till tomorrow afternoon. I explained as the survivors nodded their heads. Eventually, we settled with moving through the night since they all wanted some safe shelter. During the last few days of travel, we've been attacked at night by monsters, and if it wasn't for Nitha, we might have suffered quite a few casualties. As we're moving through the night, Lyle walked up to me and tugged at my sleeve. Man, what is it? I asked. Both Lyle and Eric didn't call out to people much. Most of the time it would be us calling for them, so I was a bit surprised that Lyle actually approached me. There's someone nearby. They seem to be heavily wounded. Lyle wrote out as I furrowed my brows. Are you able to lead me to where they are? I asked as he nodded. Getting Nitha to protect the group for now, I followed after Lyle as we ran through the night. We ran for a short while and Lyle pushed past a few vines to reveal a small rock foundation that had a man in the center. His entire body was bloodied and wounded, but his eyes were filled with determination. Seeing us to approach, he furrowed his brows and tried to stand up. We're not going to harm you. Are you okay? What happened? I asked while pulling out a healing potion. The man in front of me was rather tall with short blonde hair, green eyes and pointed ears, a known trait of elves. What world am I in? What's the closest city? The man asked with a frown. I found his questions a little odd, but I replied, anyways, you're on Earth and we're not sure about the closest city since the world has changed a little. Hearing the word Earth, he sat up in surprise. This is Earth? So there's the Elven continent and Miriel, right? He asked as I nodded. I'm back. I need to go warn her. The elf tried to stand up, but collapsed again. Take it easy. We'll bring you back to our group so you recover, okay? I sighed since I've seen people that were a little out of their minds after everything that's happened. Picking him up, I made my way back to the camp. So can you tell me your name? I asked. Edvimar. Edvimar said after taking a few deep breaths. I'm Asher. Can you tell me why you were in that small rock formation? I asked. That was a coincidence. I forced myself through a portal to escape the watchman. I need to go find my wife. She's in a lot of danger right now. The new age has arrived, and the veil between realms is weakened. The watchman can claim her soul once he finds her. I need to go warn her. Edvimar replied, as I could sense mana coursing through his body in an attempt to increase his self-recovery. But there was something hindering this. Do you know where your wife is? If not, you might have to wait a long time before we can find out where we are in the world right now. Hearing this, Edvimar furrowed his brows but nodded his head. Bringing him back to the camp, we dressed his wounds, which the healers found difficult to heal. Surprisingly, despite his heavily wounded body, Nitha was very afraid of him. For Nitha, she only showed this reaction when we were against the dragon, so I tried to inspect him to see his level. Surprisingly, nothing appeared. No name, no level, no class. There wasn't even question marks that showed he was much higher level than me. If anything, it was almost as if he was not registered by the system at all. After choosing to travel north in order to find the artifact that will appear in a month's time, Shiro made sure that she increased the training difficulty with the military so that they could use the specialized units. Right now, roughly 10% of the military was reaching the standard required, but they were having some difficulties with the increased difficulty. As for Shiina, Oran, and Akis, they were having the time of their lives seeing the new recruits struggle, since that's what they had to experience when they trained with Shiro. Of course, she didn't forget about helping people along the way, but the number of good-natured survivors rapidly decreased. Since it had been a week, it was understandable that those who helped people would get killed first. During this week trip, they had also come across a few settlements that had huge groups of humans banding together in order to survive, but most of them have become criminal dens. The moment their current leader shows weakness, the subordinates would kill them and take their place. There were no benefits to killing or helping them, so Shiro let them do as they pleased for now. If they get on her nerves later, she could deal with them. During this time, Lysandra had also woken up. Her description of her ascension was rather difficult, considering that it was something akin to walking alone in the dark. Occasionally, she could sense Shiro encouraging her, but it was faint. However, when a crest suddenly appeared in this dark world, she realized which direction she needed to go and managed to break through. Since Shiro couldn't see her class, she had Lyrica tell her, Lysandra LVL 610, Divine Judgment Archangel, Faith of the Nanotech Demigoddess. Surprisingly, her faith was now attached to her title, and it gave her some rather surprising benefits. As long as she was carrying out an order from Shiro, she would receive a 50% boost to her stats. She is also able to borrow some of Shiro's power and use Shiro's divinity if Shiro gives her permission. While she might not be able to use the blueprints, she'll still be able to use the nanobots to consume her opponent's mana. Regardless, the fact that Lysandra could use a bit of her divinity is amazing in itself. If she could study it a little and make a few blueprints herself, it would be very helpful in a fight. With Lysandra reaching Tier 6, they now had quite the impressive roster of Tier 6s. Right then, with quite a few of us at Tier 6, we need everyone else to catch up. Shiro smiled, as they were currently having a group meeting of sorts. It was to discuss what the rest of the part should do in terms of levels, since Yin, Sylvia, Lyrica, Arim, Chen Yu, and Helion were falling behind in terms of levels. Everyone else had reached Tier 6 or close to it, so they needed to level up, or else they'll have to sit out on a lot of fights. What if we went to a city that was destroyed by monsters? There should be plenty of high-level monsters there. Plus, it'll give us a chance to reclaim a city, I suppose? Madison suggested, as she was sitting on the sofa with her legs crossed. That's a good suggestion. We can also see if there are any luxury items that we can salvage. If there are, we can sell it in the shops around the city. Shiro smiled. Ngobez, while she can make a lot of things with her nanobots, sometimes it was better to get the items yourself. In that case, then, why don't we have an expedition of sorts where everyone can join in once we clear out the monsters? We'll have people look around the city for anything that might be of interest for them. It'll be like a small event of sorts that lets them stretch their legs a little once we clear up the monsters. Lyrica suggested as Shiro nodded her head. We can give them teleport modules so that they can just return to the city once they're satisfied. They can take whatever they want and keep it. If they want to offer it to us, we'll take it if it's useful, and in return, we'll reward them with something they want or something of equal value. Discussing the event details for a little bit, Shiro sent out a notification to the city. Salvaging event. Anyone can participate. We'll be stopping by a city that is destroyed by monsters. Once we've killed all the monsters in the city, we'll be sending down salvaging groups that will retrieve whatever they can from the city. Anyone can participate, and if you register yourself for this event, you'll receive a teleport module that will bring you back to the city. You can keep whatever you find. But if you want to turn it in, we'll reward you with something you want, or of equal value depending on the item that you have given us. The event will start in roughly a day or earlier, depending on the situation. There will be a city-wide notification to ensure that you don't miss it. It is first come, first serve, and no fighting amongst one another is allowed. More information will be posted later if there are any changes. Sending out the notification, Shiro set up a registration link with the notification and immediately watched as the number increased. Well, damn, they must really be bored being stuck in the city, huh? Shiro chuckled. Tell me about it, but if we host these often, I think it'll be helpful in relieving boredom. Lyrica smiled. Indeed. Anyways, I'll set a course to one of the smaller cities for now, since it's the first time that we'll be doing this. We'll see how it goes, and if it's good, we can aim for the large cities. Shiro smiled. Instructing everyone to get ready, Shiro started to set a course when she received a request for a call from Sheena, Oren, and Akis. Accepting the call, Shiro saw the three of them on the screen. What is it? Shiro smiled. Your Highness, since we didn't get a notification for deployment, can I assume that this event is a follow-up for leveling up a few members? Sheena nervously asked, as Shiro nodded her head. Indeed. The main goal was to level up some of my party members since they're falling behind a little. Shiro smiled. Pardon our rudeness, but can we participate as well? Even though we can use specialized mechs, there are times when we must fight in person, and we want to be of use even without our mechs. Sheena said with a serious face as Shiro leaned back a little. It depends. The level of the monsters in the city is quite high. They can easily kill you with a bite, you know. We understand, but our goal was to maintain distance and use the weaponry you have given us to kill the monsters from afar, Sheena replied as she waited anxiously for Shiro's reply. Staying silent, Shiro thought about it. All three of them have scored rather high with the weapons, and they have proven their control with the high-impact, high-recoil snipers, despite being low-leveled compared to the sniper level. If they can get a few levels, it would be handy since Shiro was thinking of making them into generals in the future, with the talent that they have demonstrated. Sure, you have my permission. You are allowed to use the Class 6 snipers as long as you equip yourself with a bodysuit as well. The moment you are in danger, I'll be teleporting you back to the city, okay? Shiro smiled as Sheena's eyes brightened up. Thank you, Your Highness. She bowed as Shiro chuckled. The three of you. Get ready then. Also, this is just for you three, got that? Understood! Ending the call, Shiro swiped at the screen to give the three of them access to the Class 6 snipers for a limited amount of time. When making the nanotech armory for the military, she had designated 7 classes. Class 1s were simple firearms that are quite powerful. They can easily kill anything below Tier 4. Class 2 are weapons that are embedded with a few skills that boost performance. Soldiers can redeem these weapons with enough points. Points can be earned by doing good in training. Class 3 weapons are weapons that Shiro used to use in battle when she was lower in level. They are very powerful, but compared to the current weapon, a little weak. These weapons can let you fight against Tier 4s quite easily. Class 4 weapons are weapons that can be used against Tier 5 beings with quite a few skills to assist you. Class 5 weapons are weapons like the mech that can help you dominate Tier 5 beings, but the requirements for use are strict to make sure that your body can handle it. Class 6 are weapons that can one-shot Tier 5 depending on how much mana you charge into the weapon, but it's still a little behind when it comes to killing Tier 6 beings. As for the final class, Class 7, it was weapons such as the Void, bomb that can kill Tier 6 beings like nothing. With Class 6 weapons, the three of them should have a rather easy time. It took around 2 hours to find the closest city. Giving it a quick scan, Shiro could sense that most of the monsters were below Tier 6. Even though she couldn't see their levels thanks to the system, her senses could tell that they could be killed quite easily. They didn't have that dangerous feeling of something belonging in the realm of Tier 6. There are quite a few monsters in this city. If the party kills them all, they should get some decent EXP. However, just to be safe, let me give them a little boost. Shiro thought with a smile. Stretching her body, Shiro flew up into the sky and pushed her hands together. Since they're not going to be fighting for a while, at least they hope not, it should be fine to use this skill so that they can get some levels quickly. Suddenly, a golden magic circle expanded out as both of her floating cities. A portal of sorts opened up as angels and white feathers appeared before turning into golden motes of light that descended to the cities. However, since no one was dead, there was no need to use a charge of grace, so Shiro adjusted the spell a little. Bringing up her phone, Shiro called Lyrica since she couldn't tell if the spell worked properly without seeing the system. Shiro, was I just about to call you? Did you activate a skill called Boon of the Demigoddess? Lyrica asked. I believe so. Can you tell me the effects? I modified one of my other skills, since it's not focused on reviving people, Shiro asked. Sure. The effects lasts for a week, and it's a 120% boost to EXP gain, 25% to all stats, and 35% damage mitigation. We are also immune to negative conditions for 4 days. Lyrica replied, Oh, that's pretty good then. It's better than the previous skill that focused on reviving people. I'm not sure how long this lasts for, but I can sense that I still have 10 charges of grace. The cooldown is probably huge, though. Shiro chuckled. Well, you are giving everyone a 120% boost to EXP in the end, which lasts for a week, Minan setting. They decide. Is everyone ready for deployment? Shiro asked with a smile. Yep, everyone's on standby now. Good. Then I look forward to your performance. Waving her hand, the doors to the hangar were opened. Swallowing her saliva nervously, Sheena, Oren, and Akes were surrounded by people from Shiro's party. Seeing them in person was akin to seeing celebrities, since Sylvia is the guild leader of the Healers Guild. Chen Yu is the leader of the Assassins Guild. Helion is the leader of the Blacksmithing Guild. Yin was Shiro's daughter, and Lyrica was being personally trained by a Tier 6 being. While she might not have an impressive title like the others, they knew that her fighting prowess was just as strong. Don't be nervous, you three. We'll cover you if the monsters spot you. Lyrica smiled as Sheena nodded her head. Noted. She replied while holding the sniper in her hand with a tight grip. Well then, since we got a boost from Shiro, shall we set our level goal to roughly 350 to 400? Sylvia asked with a smile since they averaged around 280 to 290. That's a pretty high goal. Will you even reach it? Helion joked as Sylvia grinned. Of course I will. The problem is, will you reach it? Slamming her staff down, several buffs were applied to everyone, and Sylvia was the first one to jump off the city. Shaking her head, Lyrica gestured for everyone to follow up. Watching everyone else jump off the city, Sheena took a deep breath. The three of them couldn't fly yet, but the suits that Shiro gave them helped them fly, so there weren't any problems. Ready? Sheena asked as she turned back to the other two. Seeing that they're ready, Sheena also jumped off the city as she could. Already see signs of fighting. Swinging her staff, Sylvia broke one of the monster's ankles before slamming its head against the ground. The monster would eat her arm, but she'd laugh and grow it back before breaking another leg. Ranobe, seeing the healer cover herself with gallons of blood, Sheena paled in shock. Wait, that's our healer? She asked over the mic as both Oren and Akes was also in shock. You'll get used to it. Our Sylvia ain't a traditional healer. When she first awakened, we thought she might have job changed into a berserker. Lyrica laughed while cutting up a monster that tried to interrupt her talk. I see. Sheena nodded, her head before looking towards the blacksmith. Summoning a flaming hammer, a burning aura enveloped Helion's body as he disappeared from his spot. Next thing Sheena knew, a monster was forcefully cleaved in half by a hammer. It didn't matter where she looked, but to her, everyone was just as abnormal as Shiro. I guess it only makes sense, considering the fact that Her Highness must have trained them as well. Sheena thought to herself. Landing on the roof of a building, Sheena laid down and aimed her sniper. Narrowing her eyes, she fired without hesitation. Suddenly, a bolt of radiant energy exploded out from the sniper as the monster couldn't even scream before its neck was pulverized, separating the head from the body. Pulling the bolt back, she loaded another bullet before aiming at another monster. How? Her accuracy isn't bad, is it? Having a sniper support is quite handy. Lyrica smiled as Arim nodded her head. Indeed, I should make a move too before all the monsters are killed by you lot. Arim chuckled. Flying into the sky, she closed her eyes and sensing the location of the monsters that weren't being targeted by the party. Locking down their location, she brought her hands together before pulling them apart to reveal a tiny black and purple orb of energy. Pinching it with her fingers, she smiled and stretched it out in an instant, causing it to collapse. on itself and disappear. Krushk! Hearing the sound of tearing flesh all around them, Lyrica's smile twitched. You really had to kill all of the ones in this area, huh? Foo-foo. I didn't steal any of your kills. Well, good luck. I think I only need another area or two before my EXP gain slows down. Erim stuck her tongue out before flying away. Shaking her head, Lyrica sighed and sheathed her weapon. We're moving to the next area. Arim just killed all the other monsters in this area. Lyrica called out as the party started to make their way through the city. Killing all the monsters they saw, Sheena, Oran, and Akes was both in awe and fear of the party's prowess. Despite their focus being heavily lenient on the offensive side, Sylvia was able to support the entire party with ease and keep up the buffs. They didn't need to worry about defense, since they kill the monsters before they get harmed. Plus, even if they do get hurt, Sylvia was there to help them. Soon, they managed to clear out the monsters, but there was something they didn't expect to find. A dungeon with its doors swung wide open. There was still a portal, but it was highly unstable. Looking at this, Lyrica had a frown on her face as the system didn't say anything about this dungeon. Taking out her phone, Lyrica gave Shiro a call. Shiro, we have a small anomaly here. There's a dungeon with its doors open and the portal is still intact. But it's highly unstable, Lyrica replied as Shiro frowned. Hold on, I'm coming now. Teleporting next to Lyrica, Shiro saw the dungeon and frowned. Unlike the situation with Lysandra, Shiro could actually see the portal, and her senses were warning her. I'll see if I can send a drone through this. If not, we might have to set up a perimeter around this. Snapping her fingers, Shiro summoned a drone and controlled it through the portal. But before it could even send any images back, it was shredded to pieces. Furrowing her brows, Shiro shook her head. We're giving up on this part of the city. I'll set up a perimeter around this. Lyrica, Arim, can I trouble you two to safeguard? This while the even happens? Shiro asked as they both nodded. Sure, leave it to us. Lyrica nodded as Shiro sent out a few drones. Making a map of the city, she set up a no-access zone for everyone to see. There was a warning to not approach this area. Once the map was sorted, Shiro sent out a notice that the scavenger event has begun. Glancing back the dungeon, Shiro frowned since dungeons were links to past gardens. For the door to be swung wide, open, and the drone being shredded upon contact, it was a sign that whatever is inside the dungeon was not good news at all. Setting up some drones to act as guards for this area of the city, Shiro sent out a notice to all the people that had registered. The first scavenger event will soon begin. The city will be hovering over the city, and there will be portals down to the city on the second floor of the teleport hall. We will be staying in the city for 5 hours maximum. With the notification reaching all of those that registered, Shiro made her way back to the command center. Sitting in her chair, she took this time to rest for a little. Relaxing on her chair, she unraveled all of the wires surrounding her body. Moving, her hands, she couldn't help but sigh. Hearing a small ringing out, Shiro activated her camera and saw that Nantien was ringing her. Answering the call, Shiro could see that he was in a bedroom. Well, don't you look worn out? Nantien raised an eyebrow seeing her state. Is it that obvious? Shiro asked, looking down at herself. You should rest more. If you want, I can come back and help you out in the city, Nantien offered. No, I'm fine. It's not workload that's troubling me, Shiro sighed. Oh, what happened? Nantien asked. Explaining their excursion to Tokyo along with her fight with Jasmine, Shiro could see that Nantien furrowed his brows in worry. A skill that kills if you fulfill conditions, huh? That's quite concerning. Do we know about which part of you that's been injured? So that we can perhaps target that specific area, Nantien asked. No idea. I can't see the system, so I don't know what part of me is being... Wait a minute. Shiro sat up. You remember something? Nantien asked. Yeah. During the fight, the first time I was hit, the system told me that I was being tainted. Every time she hit me, it was always targeted at my soul. So, if it's my soul that's been injured, it makes sense that even if I heal my body, the wound remains. So I'm guessing that if I was to have a look at my soul, I should be able to find out what's wrong with me, Shiro replied as Nantien nodded his head. That's good then. Why don't you ask your mum to help you? If I remember correctly, Your grandparents should be arriving in the new age now, right? Nantian asked. Rano Bess. Kind of, but not quite. If Gramps and Gran arrived, Mum would have told me. Though I can probably ask Mum to help me out a little. She's a Reaper, so she'll be familiar with souls. Shiro nodded her head. You should go soon then. Get yourself healed up. Oh, right. What did you call me for? We've just talked about what's affecting me rather than your problems. Shiro coughed. Lightly. I was just going to inform you about the progress of my espionage. We've managed to discover 3 more cities linked to this one, and it seems like the Queen has secured a safe trade route. In total, we know the Queen has a minimum of 6 cities under her control, which is 6 anchors. However, that also means she is severely weakened. For her to do this and survive in the future, we know that she has something up her sleeves. Nantian reported as Shiro frowned. 6 anchors. That's quite a lot. Just making one was a little annoying, since I could feel myself get weaker immediately, so having 6 could mean that she's not even 20% of her power. Shiro muttered. Indeed. On another note, it seems like other queens are also keeping an eye on her. We've detected other people in the city that are snooping around trying to find out where exactly her main city is. If other people can find that, they'll be able to take care of her since she's weak right now. But since the only lead we have on her with the branch cities, we can't exactly destroy them, so she's slowly gaining her power back. By the way, I heard a strange rumor. Oh? What kind of rumor? Well, I say rumor, but it's more rumors. The first is that there's apparently a relic that's appearing in the north, and that it's a grade that no one has ever seen before. The second rumor is that apparently there has been black-named individuals appearing around the world. I'm guessing the source of the second rumor is people that have fallen. Nantian said with a serious face. Hearing this, Shiro furrowed her brows. The power of those who have fallen was still a mystery, but the fact that one of the God-slayers was actually a fallen was quite worrisome. Once they fall, they do everything in their power to complete their objective. Once they're finished, they'll become mindless monsters. Unless their goal is to surpass gods, most of them should be rather easy to kill. But those that are able to survive and reach maturity with the goal of killing gods, it'll be annoying to deal with. Shiro frowned. I think we can leave the fallen for now. Their danger to us isn't that high. Plus, unless their goal is something huge, their power will be cut off after a certain point. Shiro replied after thinking about it for a moment. Men, for now I guess I'll keep an eye out for any new information. I'll call you if there is any more information regarding the relic. Nantian smiled. Stay safe out there. If there is any danger to any of you, don't hesitate to come back. Shiro nodded. I'll keep that in mind. Seeing Nantian end the call, Shiro sighed for a moment before standing up, wrapping herself with wire. Once more, she pulled out her phone and called Mio. Mum? Shiro called out. Yes? What do you need, darling? Mio replied. I might need a little help. I recently got an injury on my soul and I don't think I can heal it by myself. Are you able to have a look for me? Shiro asked. Oh, of course. Where are you right now? I'll come to you since there's not much for me to do anyway. Mio nodded. I'm at the command center right now, but I can just teleport to you. Where are you? Right now, Mum? Oh, I'm just at home. Talking to Mio for a little longer, Shiro teleported outside of the house she prepared for her parents. Before she could even knock on the door, Mio opened it with a smile. Come in, she said. Opening the door, she let Shiro in. Seeing her father Koji lazing around on the sofa, Shiro's smile twitched. Old man, when aren't you trying to reach Tier 6? Shiro asked as Koji froze up in shock. Honey, did Shiro just call me old man? Koji asked, feeling as though a knife had just stabbed his heart. Well, if she sees you lazing around like this, she would indeed lose respect. I just don't say anything. Mio chuckled with a shrug before making her way to the kitchen. I have some of the juice that you liked during your birthday party prepared if you want some. Mio offered, as Shiro nodded her head. Sitting near, Koji? Shiro sighed. So, Dad, why are you not trying to reach Tier 6? Knowing you should be trying to reach it right now. Shiro asked. It's a bit complicated, but to put it bluntly, I don't feel anything. There's no space, no notification, or anything when I try to break through. I've done what you told me, and nothing has worked. I even asked my granddaughter about it, since she's tier 6 now and the same with the others, but I haven't been able to get into the state required for the tier up. Honestly, I think this old body of mine isn't cut out for tier 6. Koji sighed. Maybe you just need some inspiration then. Shiro frowned, since it was understandable that not everyone's going to get the feeling for tier 6. Sometimes it was down to luck as well. Well, that's enough about me. Your mother told me that you are injured, so what happened? I doubt there is anyone that can seriously injure you unless they're a queen. Koji asked as Shiro sighed, explaining the story again, but this time to her parents. Shiro couldn't help but shake her head. In hindsight, there was so much more that she could have done to get rid of the danger, but that's the past now, and she can't change it. Sipping on the juice, she let her parents digest the story. That's quite worrying. The fact that she can rob your senses like that and healing not being effective. I can see what you mean by it might be a soul problem now. Mio nodded her head. Let's have a look then. I might not be as well versed in souls as your grandparents, but I'm confident in what I can do. Mio smiled. What should I do? Shiro asked. Nothing. Just let me handle it. It might sting a little, but that's normal, Mio replied. Snapping her fingers, 2 tier 5 magic circles appeared around Shiro as chains entered her chest. Flinching for a moment, she watched as an illusionary figure of her appeared. However, it was missing a third of its body. What? Mio couldn't help but mutter, seeing the state of Shiro's soul. If this happened normally, one would be in a coma since they couldn't function without a full soul. But despite that, Shiro was actually walking around. I don't know how to deal with this. With you missing a third of your soul, you should be unconscious right now and in a coma. But instead, you're walking around like nothing is wrong. Well, you're missing 2 senses, but this is very abnormal. Mio frowned while observing Shiro's soul. Upon closer inspection, she noticed that there was a small hint of gold near the missing areas, and it was slowly healing itself. The process was slow, but Mio understood that it was probably due to this that Shiro wasn't in a coma. Ah, I see. Darling, your identity as a demigod is probably helping you right now. Your soul is getting healed very slowly, but it's preventing you from falling into a coma, though you'll feel exhausted often. Healing souls is a complicated problem, especially something like yours. The best thing to do right now is to let it heal naturally. Though if it doesn't heal up before your grandparents arrive, then they can help you out, Mio explained. Is that so? Well, at least I know it's getting healed naturally. Shiro smiled, since that was one thing off her chest. How long do you think it'll take? Considering the speed of recovery, I think about 3 to 4 weeks. Maybe. More if it gets complicated, Mio replied. 3 to 4 weeks. I won't be able to recover in time for the relic in the north then. We'll have to take a more defensive approach to everything. Shiro muttered with a frown. Are you planning to fight? I suggest you sit it out if you are. Damage to the soul is delicate and anything could make it permanent. It's already surprising that you're not in a coma. Mio crossed her legs with a raised eyebrow. I know, but the next relic isn't one that we can miss. It's a rainbow-grade item that could summon gods. Having this fall into the wrong hands could mean serious trouble. Shiro sighed while laying her head on the table, feeling a little fatigued. She was already meant to sleep back in her office, but Nantian called, and she came to her parents' house right after. That does sound dangerous. Perhaps we should gather as much manpower as we can for this fight, Mio muttered. Including me and you, we have around 13 people that are either near the peak of Tier 5 or in Tier 6. If we include the mechs that Shiro had down us before, our fighting force will be higher, Koji said as he glanced towards Mio. I think. That should be enough for a fight against the others, especially if we tried to delay it a little and join at the end. Mio nodded. Hearing this, Shiro frowned. I don't know if there will be any more people like Jasmine with strange powers, but me and Sylvia are on standby, should anything go south. I'll use my own rainbow-grade item if I have to. Wait, I thought rainbow-grade items are rare. How do... You have one already? Mio asked curiously. I've got 2. It was a reward for completing the god trials on Mount Olympus. The first lets me use the powers of the primordial gods themselves. The second lets me summon them. I'm thinking of maybe summoning one of them for now since I can't see properly or use my body to its best extent. The first option would be somewhat wasteful, Shiro explained. That's rather powerful, isn't it? If rainbow-grade items are like this, I can see why you wouldn't want them to fall into the wrong hands. Mio frowned. We'll see what happens then. Just try to sit out for as much as you can before going in. Shiro, me and your mother's main priority is to keep you safe, not the relic, okay? If it comes down to it, we won't hesitate to sacrifice the relic for you, Koji said with a serious face. Hearing this, Shiro smiled and nodded her head. Thanks, Dad, Shiro replied as she leaned on the table. Before she knew it, she had already fallen asleep as the exhaustion took over her body. Highs. The best way to heal herself would be to do nothing. But knowing Shiro, she wouldn't sit still, since she has to make sure this city is running properly. Mio sighed, bringing out a blanket for Shiro. Yeah, she's been like that for a while now. At least it's just Shiro, though. If Kiyomi was like that, I don't think we'll be able to rest easily. Koji sighed, since Kiyomi knew when to rest more, compared to Shiro. Indeed. Mio also sighed as she laid on the sofa. I didn't think that her soul would be damaged to this extent. She muttered. Is it bad? Koji asked. Peeking at Shiro to make sure she's sleeping, Mio looked over at Koji. When people suffer this kind of injury, even if they do recover from their coma, they'll lose a large sense of self. It's like their experiences have just vanished, and everything that influenced them disappears. So far, there hasn't been anything different, but I don't know what else this kind of injury has done to her. Hopefully, it stays as just no sense of sight or touch. Mio whispered as Koji crossed his arms. Ranoba, is there anything we can do for her then, as her parents? Koji asked. There was. I used to know where some soul-nurturing herbs were, but the world has changed, so the location is unknown. For all I know, it might even be in a different country altogether. Mio shook her head. The most we can do now is to just support her, I guess. Koji nodded. After resting for a short while at her parents' house, Shiro eventually woke up and made her way back to the command center, since the event should be ending around now. Sending out her senses, she could see that there were still a few people left, so she sent out a notification. The event will end in 30 minutes. Those that are still out return to the city before the time is up, as we'll be traveling north. If there are monsters spawning, we will not be able to protect you. After sending out the notification, Shiro could see that most of the adventurers still in the city decided to return, while a few stayed behind to look around a little more. Walking to the exchange spot, Shiro checked the records to see if anyone found anything good in the city, but most of it was miscellaneous items that will help relieve some boredom. Well, I accepted as much. Regardless, it should be enough for now. We'll travel north and see if I can get some information on this relic. Maybe Madi or Isilia has some information since they are both queens as well. Shiro thought to herself while sending a message to the both of them. She wanted to see if the system told them anything since she couldn't see her own. Making her way to the command center, she saw that both Madi and Isilia had arrived. What did you need? Isilia asked curiously. Nothing much. I was just wondering if the system has told you anything about a relic in the north. Apparently, the Beast Queen has received information about the rainbow-grade relic, so I was wondering if the system has told you anything. Due to some problems, I am not able to see the system right now. Shiro chuckled. Oh? The system hasn't told me anything about a relic. Madison shook her head. What about you, Isilia? Shiro asked. Nothing for me, either. If it is information about a rainbow-grade relic, maybe we'll get a notification in the future, Isilia replied. True. If the system tells you anything, can you notify me? Shiro asked. Of course. Though what happened? Why can't you see the system? Isilia asked. Oh, it's nothing much. I can still function normally, just that I can't see the system for a short while. Give it a few weeks, and I'll be fine. Shiro chuckled. Well, since you're here, we might as well talk about what we should do with the demons and elves. I want to set some plans for development. Shiro smiled, gesturing for them to enter. Talking for a little while about what they should do, such as increasing the platform size, they eventually returned to their platforms, leaving Shiro in the command center. Ha! Sighing out heavily, Shiro couldn't help but look at the screens filling the room and feeling a little bored. She wanted to fight, but as she was, if anything showed up that could serve as a good challenge, it would be life-threatening. Shaking her head, she decided to change her appearance and wander the streets of Asheria for a while. After the healers had dressed up all of Edvimar's wounds, since there was something that was hindering any sort of healing on his body, they left the tent. "How are you feeling right now?" I asked, making my way into the tent. Seeing the bandaged Edvimar, I couldn't help but imagine a mummy. Despite their powers with healing, the healers weren't used to dressing wounds up manually. They've been relying on spells this entire time, so when it came to wounds like this, they were a little inexperienced. "I'm feeling good now. Thank you for your help." Edvimar nodded his head as he tried to stand up, but struggled. Shaking my head, I forced him to lay back down. "I know you're desperate right now, but you don't know where your wife is. You don't know where this watchman is, and your body is in shambles right now. The healers aren't able to heal you, so you have to recover naturally. If you force yourself, you might die from your own injuries before seeing your wife. Is that what you want?" I asked, clearly understanding that this man wanted to search for his wife as soon as possible, but he was in no shape to go out. Hearing this, I saw Edvimar bit his lower lip before sighing. "I'll be troubling you then." He bowed his head, but I quickly stopped him. "Don't worry about it. In this kind of dangerous world, people can't forget about helping others." I shook my head. Even though the last group had betrayed us and took all of our stuff, I still can't stop myself from helping people if I see them surviving in the wild. Most of it was pity, but that's okay. I didn't want to lose this part of me like many others who now only know how to kill. "I doubt you'll want to stay at a settlement, so how about you travel with us? We're currently making our way to the north. Who knows, we might hear some rumors that are linked to your wife," I suggested. Thinking about it for a moment, Edvimar nodded his head. "I'll take you up on your offer then. I'm generally good with combat. Even with my body like this, I should be able to kill a few tier 5s without any trouble," Edvimar replied. "So do you know what happened to Miriel? Or the Elven continent?" he asked. Remembering some news that I had heard before this new age began, I tried my best to explain what I had seen. Apparently, the city of Miriel has been abandoned. There was no one in the city at all, but some that remained spoke of a giant, floating fortress that a goddess created. A few rejected the thought of leaving, since Miriel had been their home for a long time. The same kind of situation appeared in a small part of Tokyo when the Rising Sun faction disappeared. Other places to note would be Asakura City, I think it was called, along with the headquarters of the Winter's Grace. I replied, since it was the headline for a while on the news. For a city's residents to just disappear like that was quite abnormal after all. It would be hard to forget this kind of news. It's been abandoned. A giant floating fortress that a goddess had created. Furrowing his brows, Edvimar seemed to be trying to remember something when he looked at me. "Is it possible that the one who created the city is called Nitri?" Edvimar asked. "Nitri? I'm afraid that name is unfamiliar. It was created by someone whose name began with Shir, but I don't quite remember it." I shook my head. "She... maybe. Her name changed like what happened to Isilia. At least she's in safe hands. Knowing her, she would have looked for Nitri once the world showed some abnormalities." Edvimar sighed, looking relieved. "Looks like you've sorted out some of your worries." I chuckled as he nodded his head. "Where do you think you'll find your wife, then?" "We're a bunch of wandering vagabonds, so we can travel anywhere. We'll have to drop off this set of survivors first, of course," I asked. Probably towards the north. There should be a relic appearing there soon. Very few know about it, but it is quite dangerous." "Speaking of which, are you aligned with any of the queens?" he asked. "Nope." "If I was, I wouldn't be a vagabond now, would I?" I joked. "That's good. Most of the queens aren't trustworthy. Don't risk it. You don't know their goal after all. Plus, the system is hiding a lot of things from us. He shook his head. I was a little surprised to see someone with the same thoughts as me, but it was understandable considering the fact that the world has changed thanks to this tutorial of the system ending. Speaking of the system, how come I can't inspect you? It's almost like you've detached yourself, I asked curiously. I'll tell you later if you want, since sometimes knowing something can be a curse. Edvimar nodded. Sure, tell me when you're comfortable about it then. I smiled. Leaving the tent for a little bit, I went to make a bit of food with the rations we have. Ranob's noticing Nita to the side, I waved towards her as she looked at the tent, fearfully before coming to my side. Why are you so afraid? Edvimar seems rather kind right now. I chuckled. Of course, I still had my guard up in case anything happened, since you can't trust everything people say these days, but I won't treat him badly just because of that. However, hearing what I had said, Nita smacked me on the head before pointing at the tent in a panic. She seemed to be lecturing me, but I didn't understand anything she had said. Seeing the confusion on my face, Nita hissed in anger before going up to the trees beside the camp and cut it down with her claws. Huffing in anger, she glared at me before going deeper into the forest. Scratching my head, I can hear the sound of wood being split apart, as I made a mental note to have one of our mages repair the forest once Nitha was done. But I don't understand why she was angry, considering the fact that Edvimar was heavily injured. Was he someone strong? I thought to myself before standing back up. After we dropped off the survivors to the closest settlement, we started to make our way towards the far north at the request of Edvimar. The party was a little on guard against him, but since Eric and Lyle are rather close, after a few days of travel, the others started to open up. Despite his injuries, he was a good sparring partner for Gordon. I could somewhat understand Nitha's fear now, since even when he was injured, he could still defeat Gordon with minimal movements while giving tips every now and again. He was even able to give tips regarding magic. According to him, it was his wife that taught him all the knowledge about magic. While he didn't use it often, it was handy in a fight if you could throw your opponent off guard. Originally, I was joking with Gordon, saying that he was losing to an injured man when he challenged me to do the same. I'll admit, standing before the injured Edvimar was bloody terrifying. Despite his injured state and bandaged body, it felt like a single wrong move would end me. Should I be his enemy on a battlefield, there would probably be a 0% chance of me surviving. But since we're just sparring, I took the initiative. And of course, I was defeated in a few simple moves. Nitha was still fearful of Edvimar, as she would flinch whenever he appeared in front of her. Edvimar would apologize with a forced smile, since it was apparently hard to control his passive aura due to his injured state. According to him, all the monsters weaker than him would be inflicted by a fear status, which explained why Nitha was afraid of him, despite being quite a nice guy. Hunting was also easier since he was able to accurately pinpoint where most of the low-level monsters are. But we couldn't take him on the back of Nitha, since she would struggle at flying. I did notice that Nitha enjoyed our scouting much more than before, since she didn't need to be near Edvimar. Whenever we're back at the camp, she would use her claws to hook onto my clothes before dragging me away so that we could have some time together without Edvimar being close. Seeing that she was always tense around him, I let her do this since it was difficult to feel relaxed when a source of your fear is near you. As we traveled north, we came across a city that had been completely cleared of monsters. There were signs of battle, as well as scavenging, but no traces of them could be found. Edvimar seemed to be excited seeing some of the slash marks, and muttered something to himself before sighing in relief. Continuing north, we found more of these in cities, and strangely, no survivors for us to help, and I realized that we were following the track of someone else. Standing in the office overlooking the entire hangar filled with mechs, Shiro could see countless soldiers getting ready. Right now, they were planning to launch a full-on attack on a territory that had been completely taken over by a horde of high-level monsters. They were all above level 450, and it was unknown if any were in the realm of Tier 6. Their numbers were much higher than the army, so everyone was a bit nervous. However, since all of the soldiers were using mechs, they'll be able to take on a few of the monsters by themselves. How is the prep going? Shiro asked, as she glanced back and saw Samuel about to knock on the door. After living without her sight, Shiro decided on not using the camera as much as she could, and instead using her mana senses 24/7. While it was exhausting, it was useful, in terms of increasing her proficiency over her mana. In addition to this, Shiro had also been trying her best at using Boundary, but it was mentally fatiguing and she would be forced to sleep. With her soul being damaged, she needed rest, but using Boundary would just increase the time she needed to sleep. There hasn't yet been any signs of improvement when it came to Boundary, but Shiro didn't give up. The preparations are almost done. A few of the soldiers are a little afraid when it comes to fighting high-level monsters like that, but with the power of the mechs, I believe they should overcome this fear soon. Samuel replied, "That's good. Have Sheena, Oren, and Akes take the lead, since they're the top 3 candidates in the army. They're allowed to go a little wild with their specialized mechs, but remind them not to take too many kills, since this is also a learning experience for the other soldiers." Shiro chuckled as Samuel nodded his head. "Understood. Also, your party members are on standby, Your Highness. I know, if any Tier 6 beings or an anomaly in the Tier 5 category appears, they'll be interfering with the fight. For now, though, I want you to send word to the participating soldiers. The mechs will automatically record your contributions in the fight. Those that have the highest contributions will receive a personalized weapon from Helion, the leader of the blacksmithing guild, as well as a bracelet with a skill they want from the Tier 5 catalog." Shiro smiled as Samuel paused in surprise. "First of all, anything made by Helion could be considered a treasure, since there is a guarantee that the item was extraordinary for its grade. However, there was something more desirable, and that was an accessory with a skill from anything higher than Tier 4. In this category, there are skills such as Kiatoma, which freezes your opponent's body for a moment. This could possibly save your life and let you kill your enemy. As for skills in Tier 5, there was an option where you can choose 3 skills and have a chance to merge them into a new skill. There was a soldier that picked this for a reward when he performed well and managed to obtain a skill called Northern Fury. This skill was a berserk skill which wraps you in an armor made from ice and would boost your stats by 100% for a short period of time. This could also be activated a second time. The second activation would freeze everything around you. The earlier you cast this skill, the less backlash you'll receive. After the soldier obtained this skill, everyone in the army knew that the best reward in the Tier 5 catalog was not a single skill, but a combination that could match your needs. And the one making it was Shiro, since she owned all the skills. If there is a compatibility between the chosen skills, the chance that a new, more powerful skill appearing was high. "Run up yours!" "Understood. I'll pass on the message. This might make them a little rowdy." Samuel chuckled. That's fine. Let them have a bit of competition between them." Shiro nodded. Watching Samuel leave the room, Shiro swiped with her hand and brought up a few holographic screens. Checking their position on the map, Shiro sent out a notification that they'll be deploying in 10 minutes. "Honestly, I think the rewards are a little extravagant, don't you think?" Nimue raised an eyebrow. "Perhaps, but that's fine. We're clearing out a rather big horde of monsters, so I need a good reward for the risk." Shiro chuckled. "Yes, but the reward is a little big, no?" Nimue asked. Shrugging her shoulders, Shiro made her way out of the office. She wanted to look for a good place to view everything with the rest of the party. Taking a few deep breaths, I tried to calm myself. After being saved by the goddess, me and my sister lived in the second city. She picked some work at one of the stalls while I decided to apply for the army, since I wanted to be as strong as the goddess that saved the 2 of us during the first day. We're about to be deployed into the mountains to fight a horde of monsters that had taken over this region, and the rewards for this were extravagant. I wasn't expecting myself to get the rewards. I just wanted to get stronger. I've been a little behind in terms of combat, so I wanted to use this chance to hone my strength. Don't be so nervous. These mechs are much stronger than they look. Even the standard units can put you on even fighting. Ground with a high-level monster. My senior in the army comforted. I know, I'm just worried that I can't perform well. I forced a smile as he patted my shoulder. Well, just keep your head up and don't get cornered. Make sure you stick near your allies, okay? Good luck out there. He laughed before making his way to the other soldiers that looked nervous. Shaking my head, I checked my equipment one last time before climbing into my mech. Activating the mech, I watched as the mini hologram of the goddess appeared. At first, she was going to just use a different model, but when all the soldiers asked for this to be kept, including me, she accepted and let all the AI in the mechs to be a small version of her. User confirmed, registered pilot. Glenn, cranial connector. Link confirmed, glove connector. Link confirmed. Leg connector, link confirmed. Full body sync confirmed. Connection. To standard unit finalized, ready for deployment. Good luck on the battlefield, watching the cockpit of the mech light up. I sighed to myself. It was only a while ago that I thought something like this was something that could only happen in the far future. But here I am, piloting one myself. Stretching my body, I adjusted myself to the feeling of the mech. Attention! A feminine voice shouted out as I recognized it to belong to Sheena, the rank 1 candidate in the army. She was also the first one to pilot the mechs out of everyone, as her capabilities are heads and shoulders above the rest of us. Having her lead the fight was reassuring. As I listened to her explaining the formations as well as the plans, I couldn't help but look at the specialized units that were much bigger than the standard units. Each of them were designed to fit the user so that they could use their magic through the mech. Wanted one myself, but I wasn't good with magic, so a standard unit was enough for me. Looking at the sword that I could deploy, I prayed silently to the goddess, wishing for luck on the battlefield. Watching everyone jump off the city and glide down to the mountains, I did the same and summoned the sword to my hand. While others were slowing down, I knew that the mechs were much stronger and could survive the impact. It was just a matter of how strong your body was. Activating the thrusters, I increased my speed before flipping the sword into a reverse grip. Bang! Crashing against the mountain, my mech shot out of the dust cloud before cutting 2 of the enlarged monsters in half. Watching their flesh pulse and repair the body, I knew that this was the monster skill rejuvenation that they taught us about in the lessons. Throwing the sword at them, the sword split into 4 hooks that dug deep into their body while a chain was connected to the wrist. Reeling in the monsters, I grabbed their head and slammed it into the ground as another blade was created in the palm, piercing their head and killing them for good. That's 2, I muttered. Retrieving my sword, I charged at the next group. Watching a single mech shred through 2 monsters immediately, Shiro was a little surprised that the soldier had actually pulled off a maneuver that had him charge faster towards the ground and redistribute the force as forward thrust so that he could cut them in half. Thinking about it for a moment, Shiro decided to keep an eye on him. If he performed well, she'll give him a specialized unit.